Questions?
So you're in an environment where you have a mix of infinite people and finite.
Yeah.
How do you manage those relationships back and forth?
Sure.
Efficient. Self-recognize, I'm infinite, you're finite.
Right.
How do you manage that?
So the question was, if you're in an environment where you have a mix of finite and infinite, what do you do? Well, first of all, there are always finite games within the infinite game, which is fine. But it's also understanding the greater game you're in. And the answer is don't worry about the game that other people are playing. Play your game, right? The goal is not to try and convince anybody that they're in the wrong game, or they have to play by different rules, or that they're bad leaders and we're going to help them, right? We have to take responsibility for only the things we can control. And the biggest thing we can control is ourselves, right? We can't even control our friends. The only thing we can do is look after our friends and empathize with our friends, which we don't do, especially over text with no tone of voice or things like that. Right? My God, we're terrible reactors. Everybody's against us, and we like to say our thing. I mean, here's something that I find amazing. I don't understand it. I find it amazing, the social thing, right? So on Father's Day, the number of people that will post pictures on various social media of them when they were kids with their dads and be like, Happy Father's Day, I love you, Dad, you're the best dad ever. Your dad's not on Instagram. Why not on Father's Day just call your dad and tell him you love him? And then post the picture if you need to, right? Like, I'm sure you love your father. No one will doubt that you love your dad if you didn't post it. It's Father's Day and I didn't see a post from you. But I digress. The point is, worry about the game you're in and take care of the people around you. When I say take care of them, that doesn't mean convince them. I mean literally take care of them. Worry about them and practice empathy. And put yourself out there to help them, right? Not do it for them, help them, right? And what you find is when that happens, small pockets of people start working at higher performance and higher levels than the people around them. So the numbers-driven folks tend to leave them alone because their numbers are better, right? And by the way, I'm okay with money as long as money comes second. Money is like fuel. If you have it, it helps advance things. But it's not the reason we go to work. We go to work for each other, right? So worry about that, and don't worry about them. They'll either drop out of the game. Every single bankruptcy, every single merger and acquisition is somebody basically saying we no longer have the money or the will to play, and so we're going to drop out of the game, or we have to combine our resources with somebody else to stay in the game. That's what that is. Then just leave them. Just leave them. Yep. Yeah, let's go in the wherever. Whoever you give to the mic to is the person whose questions I will answer.
Oh. Coming from a millennial, I know you said that it would be the company's responsibility to try to teach us how to be patient, but do you possibly have a teachable moment on how to maintain patience and fulfillment in that journey? I think we always
Yes.
are seeking more.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Okay, let's do a really, really, really easy one. Okay? Simple, not easy. Can I borrow your phone? Can I borrow somebody's phone? Oh, look. What if I were to hold my phone while I'm giving this talk? It's not beeping, it's not buzzing, it's not flashing, and I'm not checking it. I'm simply holding it. Do you feel like you're the most important thing to me right now? No, you do not. And that's the point. There is a subconscious reaction to the device. It literally makes people feel that they are not important simply by having it out. So what happens is we walk down hallways, phone in hand, because we're addicted, can't possibly leave it behind, right? I mean, if you need to go to the bathroom and you hold it in to find your phone to take with you, you're an addict, my friend. That's screwed up. There is a subconscious reaction to the device. So when we're walking down the hall and our friend says, hey, can I ask you a question? You go, sure, what's on your mind? It actually makes them feel that they don't matter. So go like this. Sure, what's on your mind? And if you don't have a pocket, find a shelf and say, sure, what's on your mind? It's an incredibly powerful thing. There should be 0 phones on the table in a meeting, at lunch, at dinner, if you are meeting with or eating with anyone besides yourself. Because when you put the phone on the table, you basically say to everyone else on the table, you're not the most important thing to me right now, and they can feel it. We've all felt it. We've all felt it when we're walking down the street with a friend and they pull out their phone and we feel stupid, so we pull out our phone. Go watch people. I watch people in restaurants. Thank you. I watch people in restaurants and I see two people on the phone the whole time. 20 minutes they'll be on the phone talking to people who aren't there. Or they're on I'm watching. They're on Instagram. Checking Instagram when they're at dinner with someone and then they complain that they're lonely. Right? And then they both put their phones away, but it takes time to start the engagement. You know, there's a little bit so they just sit there quietly, both gazing off into space while they eat their... And it's what happens in meetings, right? In meetings, we sit waiting for the meeting to start more like this because Bob's running a couple minutes late. Okay, Bob's here. Right? That's not how relationships form. Relationships form, we're sitting waiting, and you're just sitting there, and you turn to somebody and be like, how's that thing going with that client? You'll be like, oh, actually pretty good. Yeah, thanks. Hey, what about your dad? Wasn't he in hospital? Oh my God, yeah, thanks. No, everything's all right. Thanks. That's where relationships form. It's all the little stuff that by themselves mean nothing, but in combination build a relationship. It's kind of like brushing your teeth, right? Intensity versus consistency, right? Like if you go to the gym for 9 hours, you will not get into shape. But if you work out every day for 20 minutes, you will get into shape. The problem is I don't know when. Simon, how long does it take to make a friend? I don't know. How long does it take to fall in love? No clue. I know it takes more than a week, but I know that it takes less than a year to make a friend. You know? But the problem is I don't exactly know when. It's the little stuff that adds up that makes those things happen, like brushing your teeth. If you only go to the dentist twice a year, all your teeth will fall out, right? Because the intensity is not enough. But we like intense things because it's easy to measure. I know exactly the day I'm going to the dentist, I know I'll be there for about an hour, and I know my teeth feel good and look good when I walk out. That's why when we teach leadership, we have a 2-day offsite, we bring in a bunch of speakers, everybody's like, that was amazing, I'm a leader now. Unfortunately, that's not how it works. Intensity cannot replace consistency. Brushing your teeth for 2 minutes, once in the morning and once in the evening, by itself does nothing. Absolute. How many times do I have to brush my teeth twice a day to keep my teeth healthy? I don't know. I don't know. But you just gotta do it. And the same thing is about relationships. Every single meeting you sit in, if there's no phones on the table at all, I'm not sure exactly when, but I can promise you the team will start to come together. I can promise you you'll start to trust each other more and like each other more. I promise you. I promise you that if you leave your phone at home when you go out for dinner with your friends, because who are you calling? And if you need an Uber, you only need one person to bring a phone, or leave it in your bag turned off for the entire time until you need the Uber. And if you do have to take a picture of your food, by all means, take the picture. You don't have to post it now. You can post it later. And don't play that stupid game where you're like, hey, let's go to a movie. Absolutely, I'll pull out my phone and look at movie times. And you see you have 3 texts, and you can't help yourself, but you gotta just check. Are you checking movie times? Yeah. It's playing. It's playing at 8 o'clock. Right? Get rid of all of that. You'll actually find it easier to ignore the temptation if you practice keeping the phone away. It's like an alcoholic. We cannot trust our willpower. We're just not that strong. An alcoholic gets rid of all the alcohol in their house because we cannot trust our willpower. If you check your phone when you wake up in the morning before you say good morning to the person lying next to you, you are an addict. You're an addict. If you have to sleep with your phone next to your bed, and you check it constantly, and you wake up in the middle of the night because you can't sleep, and the first thing you do is check your phone, it's because you're an addict. Charge your phone in the living room. Oh, but it's my alarm clock. Buy an alarm clock. They're like $8. You will sleep better, you will wake up happier, and you are practicing the consistency of taking care of each other, making them feel heard and special and making friends. And by the way, you know what happens to you when you do that? People like you more, and you feel better, and you feel more confident, and you're making more friends too. But somebody has to go first. That's the risk. That's called leadership, the person who goes first. I'll give shorter answers. Let's do something in the front. And then the back, I expect to hear from you too.
All right, well, first, thank you so much for this. This is awesome. Thank you for enjoying it. Just out of curiosity, so you speak to businesses and companies and leadership teams and employees and stuff. Without mentioning names, I don't want to put you on the spot, but have you gone and talked to a company that's been in trouble and then spoken to their team and then checked in on them after you've spoken to their leadership team? And what did that look like? Did you notice a noticeable change? Did they come to you and tell you that this has helped our organization out and our culture is much improved because of it?
You mean, does my shit work? I mean, sure. Here's the problem with my stuff. You got to do it. And I'm not anybody's, like, you know, mom or dad. I'm not going to do it for you. And I have a very laissez-faire approach of it. I once had a client, this is a bunch of years ago, that said, "What guarantee do I have that your stuff will work?" To which my answer was, none. Like, I'm giving you a tool. It's like a hammer. You can use it broadly or narrowly. You can build a table, you can build a house. It's the same tool. You can use it for marketing, you can use it to completely revitalize your entire culture. And even though I'm going to sell you the most beautiful hammer, I'm not going to guarantee the structural integrity of the house, right? It's your business. You want to ignore all my stuff? Ignore it. I don't care. And if your business collapses, you know what happens to me? Nothing. Like, I don't mean to be cold about it. Like, of course I want the people I work with to do well, but it's not mine. It's theirs. And I take no emotional responsibility for the decisions they make. So yes, there are many people that I've had the pleasure of working with, some who worked for dysfunctional organizations, that went on the hard journey of completely changing the way they lead and completely revitalizing their culture, and it has great success. It's not because of me, it's because of them, right? At the same time, there are many people who came in like, "What an amazing speech," and did nothing. You know, "Thanks, that was great," you know? And of course it's going to fail, you know? So I think that we have too much, especially in the consulting world or the design world, everybody's so paternalistic about it. And designers are famous for this, right? They get so personally offended when the client chooses the wrong thing. "Oh, they're such idiots. Don't they know we're trying to help them?" Or who cares? Like, it's their frickin' business, right? That's what you find. I've had that. Instead of arguing with somebody for them to make the right choice, because we genuinely want to help them, what I have found is if you push the accountability onto, because when we argue, we're taking accountability. This is better. This will help you. We're taking responsibility, accountability. But if we say, "Look, we've been doing this a bunch of years. We know more about design than you do. I'm telling you, for every reason that I can outline for you, why this will help you more. But if you don't want to do it, that's fine. It's your business. Do what you want." The minute you switch the accountability and put it all on them, amazingly, they're much more open to your opinion. Because now they're responsible. So it's not me, it's them. It's like all my failed relationships.
One last question.
One last question. I don't care. Pick one.
Go to the back. Let's do someone from the back that's brave.
Hi. I have a question about how you deal with these things when it's more about relationships versus business. So if you have a relationship that you actually care about, but it's infinite player versus finite player, do you have any tools? If you've already accepted you can't change the person.
Okay, let's just make one little correction, okay? There is no difference between business and personal relationships. We have artificially bifurcated our lives into my work life and my home life. It's you. The only difference between your work life and your home life are the clothes you wear and the table you sit at, right? The reason your friends love you is the same reason your colleagues trust you. It's you, right? So all the advice and counsel that I offer that's about business is actually about us. And all the stuff that I'm offering about us is actually about business. In other words, it's human beings looking to feel safe around other human beings. And that's the most important thing to remember, which is what we all desire more than anything else is to feel safe amongst our own. And the reason we have work-life imbalance is because we don't feel safe at work, but we do feel safe at home. That's the imbalance. Yoga won't fix that. Right? We want to have an environment in which we operate, one with our friends, one with our colleagues, in which we feel safe, that we can be ourselves. Right? And so what you have to do is commit yourself. If you have a friend that, there's two choices. Sometimes we have friends that shouldn't be our friends. It happens, right? Sometimes we have jobs we shouldn't have. Like, it happens, right? So don't be afraid of that. But that doesn't mean we dump all our friends, right? What that means is we take responsibility to make sure that they feel safe to express themselves and be themselves. And I think very often we don't. I think very often we have created such a judgmental environment, right? That people are afraid to be themselves. They're afraid to express vulnerability. And this word is bandied around so much, I think we've forgotten what it means. Vulnerability doesn't mean walking around crying, right? That's not what vulnerability means, is the willingness to raise your hand and say, I made a mistake. The willingness to raise your hand and say, I don't know what I'm doing. The willingness to raise your hand and say, I'm afraid. The willingness to raise their hand and say to you, I felt tension when I went out with you last night. And I don't know if it's something I did, but I'm afraid because I love you and I don't like the way this feels. As opposed to what we usually do is lie, hide, and fake and ignore and pretend that everything's okay. But no one will say that to us unless we create an environment that makes them feel safe to say that to us. But if we're going to fly off the handle anytime somebody criticizes us, you did this to me. Well, you did this to me. It's not a balancing act. You did this to me. Oh my God, I had no idea. I'm so sorry. Tell me more. And when we give apologies, we give bullshit apologies, right? I'm sorry you feel hurt. You can't apologize for how someone feels. You can only apologize for what you did. And saying you're sorry doesn't mean you're wrong. It just means you take accountability for your actions. Like if you're holding a big bag and you turn around and you hit someone by accident, you turn around and you say, sorry, I know you didn't mean it. But you're not going to be like, well, if you weren't standing there. Well, I didn't mean it, so I don't have to apologize. No, you can take responsibility. It's the same thing with our friends, right? I'm sorry I said that. And if you add the word but after an apology, then it's not I'm sorry, but. It's not an apology, right? It's a justification or a rationalization. So if you have that issue with a friend, ask yourself, what environment are they coming into the friendship with every day? And by the way, you won't fix the environment once. Remember, it's those consistencies. It's the lots of little things. If you do something once, they might get suspicious. And if you can say, I'm trying to practice this because I want to be a better friend, and I think that I may have not been the best friend that I can be to you, and so I'm practicing. I won't always get it right. Please tell me when I get it wrong. This is one of the problems with being human. It's messy. It's messy. That's why we're better together, right? So make them feel safe. Make them feel that they can tell you they're struggling or that they're unsure or that they're nervous. And sometimes it'll come out all wrong. Sometimes it'll come out as an attack, but it's not really an attack. It's really an expression or a call for help. You show up with empathy, just like I want leaders who ask me about the millennial question to have empathy also. Same thing. Good? Good.
Can we give it up?
Thank you,